What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some crazy battles in the Open Ultra League submitted to the channel by Pazupath, who's running a level 50 Dodrio and Shadow Crobat, both with the newly buffed Air Cutter, as well as Shadow Cradilly with Rock Tomb. Now this trainer submitted a ton of battles with a few different movesets, and I've condensed it down slightly, but I have put the battles in a bit of a weird order, so there may be a few battles here and there where Crobat has Shadow Ball, or Dodrio has Feint Attack as the fast move, but for the most part the graphic is correct. Anyways, with that being said, let's just get straight into the question of the day. Now that we've had a full week of both Great League and Ultra League, what are your thoughts on both metas after the move updates? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Let's go into the first battle, leading Dodrio into an Aurorus here, but we are running Steel Wing as the fast move, hitting for double super effective damage, hitting incredibly hard. We are definitely going to shield this as the opponent goes for a Weather Ball. We can now overfarm just slightly, fire off the Air Cutter. Air Cutter is resisted damage, but it grabs a shield and it gives us the boost, meaning we will be able to shield again and go for a full Steel Wing farm down. The opponent goes for another Weather Ball there. We can get that farm down, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. They're going to come in with a Feraligatr. We are double resisting the Shadow damage. We are full sending the Brave Bird. We are boosted, and Brave Bird gets the one shot. I'm not sure why they did not shield there, but they come in with their final Pokemon, a Drifblim, and even though we're triple debuffed, we're still able to reach another Air Cutter before swapping into our Shadow Cradilly. At this point, of course, all shields are down. The opponent is going to go for an Icy Wind, debuffing our attack and hitting for super effective damage, but either way, it doesn't really matter. Rock Tomb gets them very low, and at this point, the opponent will be able to outpace us to the next charge move, and from this range, Icy Wind, even with a debuff, we'll get the KO, but we can come in with the Shadow Crobat, go for 2 Air Slashes, get the farm down up against the Drifblim, and we're able to take that game. Into next battle, we see a Drapion in the lead, so we are going to stay in this matchup here, and a bit interesting that we are running an ABA style team with a flying type in the lead and in the back with Crobat, but either way, gonna no-shield the first move, go straight for the Brave Bird once again. Brave Bird, once again, is no-shielded, it gets the one shot, the opponent comes in with a Primate, we instantly swap out of that matchup, not allowing for the farm down, coming in with the Crobat, and of course Crobat would be very nice with Shadow Ball here, however it does take quite a long time to get to those Shadow Balls, so instead, we just go straight for the Air Cutter there, and Air Cutter unfortunately not getting a boost on the first use. We're going to shield here. The opponent is going to go for another Dragon Claw there, which is absolutely fine. We're now going to overfarm, pretending like maybe we do have a Shadow Ball to throw. We go for Air Cutter, number 2, grabbing a shield this time around, and then also swapping to catch the charge move onto our Dodrio. Dragon Claw gets the KO there, but that's okay. We are going to wait out the switch clock, come in with the Shadow Cradilly, and the opponent, remember, they do have a Primate in the back, so of course, I'm going to save the shield for that. The opponent fires off the Dragon Claw, not dealing too much damage. We're already at the Grass Knot now, so we're going to full send the Grass Knot. Grass Knot is going to be shielded by the opponent, and at this point, we are going to let the move go through. The opponent just goes for a Rage Fizz bait. We're able to swap out, go into the Crobat, fire off the Air Cutter straight away. Air Cutter gets the one shot. They can come back in with the Giratina. They do get a big farm down, but Shadow Cradilly is very bulky, even in its Shadow form. We can shield up the charge move here, and even if they do reach another charge move, we should still be able to live it, but we're able to get to our Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb does get the KO from that range, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, we can see a Feraligatr in the lead. Of course, we've already seen a Feraligatr get one shot by the Brave Bird. We were boosted at that point, but either way, I think should still be the same result if we go straight for a Brave Bird here. The opponent goes for a Hydro Cannon bait there, which is not enough damage to get the KO. We full send the Brave Bird, and again, it gets the one shot. Opponents not respecting the triple-headed tennis ball of death there. That's what I like to call the shiny Dodrio. But either way, we're going to come in with the Shadow Cradilly. We are going to shield up the Blast Burn, which is very nice. We're then going to overfarm here. Perfect overfarm, throwing after 3 Bullet Seeds, firing off the Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb debuffs their attack, and this might allow us to live this charge move here. It's going to be very close, but Cradilly hangs on, living with 1 HP and a dream. We can fire off 1 more Bullet Seed, go for the Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb grabs the final shield from the opponent, and we come in with a Shadow Crobat. We try to swap and catch the charge move, but the opponent swaps out into a Sand Attack Gliscor, which is fine with us. We can shield this as they go for an Aerias, as it's called in German. We can now go straight for the Brave Bird, but we actually undercharge that intentionally there because we need more energy on our Shadow Crobat. Of course, all shields are down. The opponent will reach another Aero Arse as they fire it off there before we get the farm down, but let's see what we can do here. Shadow Crobat needs to tank a Thunder Punch and also an Incinerate, and again in the same battle, living with 1 HP and a Dream, going for the Shadow Ball, getting the KO up against the Typhlosion, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, we see a Gliscor in the lead this time around, and this time they're actually on Fury Cutter, so Fury Cutter is also resisted, so absolutely fine with us. We're of course gonna no-shield the first charge view as they go for another Aero Arse there. We are going to overfarm, and again, we are full sending the Brave Bird. Brave Bird does connect, and once again, it gets the one shot, and the opponent's gonna come in with a Galarian Weezing. We stayed in initially there just because we are dealing super effective Steel Wing damage before swapping and catching the Sludge onto our Shadow Crobat. Very nice. We're then going to see a Goodra coming in, and I've got to try and remember all these Pokemon names here because it is in German, and I am slightly forgetting sometimes, but either way, it doesn't really matter. The opponent goes for an Aqua Tail there, and we are actually able to hang on, reach another Air Cutter, and Air Cutter number 2, going to be no-shielded, and we're now going to come in with our Shadow Credilli. The opponent is going to fire off the Charge Move here. They go for another Aqua Tail. Doesn't do too much damage. We are going to go straight for the Rock Tomb here. Just make sure we get rid of this Goodra, and we're able to grab the final shield from the opponent before the opponent fires off another charge move. At this point, they are debuffed, but we're going to shield this. They come back in with the Weezing. We're going straight for Rock Tomb here. Rock Tomb will be debuffing their attack, and it will mean that we can come in with the Dodrio, and we can actually just commit to a full Steel Wing farm down here. Using our shield, the opponent fires off the Sludge. We get the farm down. We come out with another Brave Bird loaded, and you guys know the drill. Of course, Brave Bird going to be enough damage to easily take out the Goodra, and we're able to take that game. So going into next battle, Dodrio into Feraligatr. So hopefully once again we can... No, never mind. Okay, never mind. I was going to say hopefully we can't just go straight for a Brave Bird, but we actually swap out of that matchup this time, swapping into our Shadow Credilli, and we bait out a Skeledirge, which honestly not too bad for us, especially since we can land that Rock Tomb straight away. The opponent goes for a Torch Song, boosting up their attack once again, but it doesn't really matter. We're going to drop it instantly with the Rock Tomb. The opponent actually just going to let that move go through. They come in with a Primarina, and we're able to reach a Grass Knot before they farm us down. Grass Knot gonna grab the first shield from the opponent. We can come in with our Shadow Crobat, and the opponent is gonna fire off a charge move. We're going to shield this as the opponent does full send an Ice Beam here. We're now going to go for a Poison Fang, debuffing their defense here before probably swapping into our Dodrio. Unfortunately, of course, Steel Wing is resisted, but with that debuff to their defense, I mean, to be honest, it doesn't really matter. We're going to no-shield anyways, barely hanging on, and we get to an Air Cutter at the last possible second. The opponent no-shields their Feraligatr there, but it doesn't really matter. We've got Crobat aligned to the Primarina. We are going to overfarm in this matchup, wait for the opponent to throw their first charge move. They're not going to reach back-to-back moves here. They go for the Hydro Cannon, I assume. We're going to go straight for the Poison Fang. Poison Fang is going to be shielded by the opponent, but it drops their defense, meaning we actually don't even need to commit to a second Poison Fang because Air Cutter is enough damage to get the KO there, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, we see a Dodrio into an Obstagoon. So of course, we're going to stay in this matchup initially. The counter going to be super effective up against the Credilli, but it is double resisted up against the Crobat. So you might as well just play out this no-shield scenario here up against the Obstagoon. The opponent is going to fire off a Night Slash, I believe that it was. Not entirely sure, but we're able to reach a last-second Air Cutter here. Air Cutter probably does not get the KO, but the opponent shields anyways. So we can come in with the Crobat, and of course, we don't need to shield the first charge move. The opponent is going to go for another Night Slash there. No boost once again. At this point, we might just commit no shields and go for a full Air Slash farm down. The opponent goes for another Night Slash there, and we can get a huge farm down. The opponent comes in with Cresselia. Again, this would be where having Shadow Ball would be very nice for us, but either way, we go for the Air Cutter, grab a shield from the opponent before swapping into our Shadow Credilli, and at this point, we're going to no-shield again. The opponent goes for a Grass Knot there, which doesn't do too much damage, before swapping into a Giratina. We go straight for Rock Tomb. It's actually a Giratina Origin form here, so obviously not going to be quite as bulky as the altered form. We go for Rock Tomb number 2, but we do maybe have to shield here as the opponent can go for a Shadow Ball. The opponent is going to go for the Shadow Ball there, full sending it, but we can bank the energy, come back in with the Crobat, and now we're going for Poison Fang. Of course, this is their final Pokemon. They will not be able to swap out and clear the debuff. Poison Fang obviously not going to do too much damage there, but either way, it doesn't really matter. We can fire off the Air Cutter. Air Cutter does respectable damage. We get the boost. It doesn't really help us too much as we get off a single boosted Air Slash, but we can come in with the Shadow Credilli, shield up the charge move there. They do actually outpace us to another charge move, but this should just be another Grass Knot, which is non-stab. It doesn't do enough damage to get the KO, whereas we can come in with the Credilli, fire off a stab Grass Knot, and Grass Knot does take out Cresselia, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, we see Dodrio into a Berserker. So this is a bit of an awkward matchup for us, of course. Hitting for resisted damage on both ends. We are going to wait for the opponent to throw a charge move. We are going to no shield this. The opponent goes for a foul play there. We're going to go for a Brave Bird. And Brave Bird, even though it is resisted damage, would do huge damage. So the opponent respects the damage there. And at this point, I think we have to just let the Dodrio go down. The opponent fires off another foul play, gets in the KO, but we can come in with the Crobat. And the opponent already had another foul play here. Foul play is going to do some respectable damage there. We don't need to shield the first charge move, but they're already at another foul play. This Berserker is putting in work right now. We are going to overfarm now and fire off the Shadow Ball here. Shadow Ball will be enough damage to get the KO, of course, and the opponent does finally let Berserker go down. The opponent then comes in with Annihilate, and we're going straight for the Air Cutter here. This is where Air Cutter is going to be very handy. Opponent might think it's a Poison Fang, so they no shield. It does big damage. And if they've got Annihilate here, we might need to shield this, as the opponent is going to have another Pokemon, possibly weak to the Crobat, in the back. And they do. It's a Primeape. However, of course, all shields are down on our end. We go for the Air Cutter, grab that final shield, but the opponent overfarms perfectly. Is close combat enough damage to get the KO? Yes, it is. And they're still able to reach another charge move. Really nice play on the opponent's end. They go for a Rage Fist, taking out the Crobat. And unfortunately, we do lose that game. But into the next battle, we see a great lead for us, leading into a Decidueye. Of course, we are going to resist the typical charge moves from this Pokemon. We go for the Air Cutter, and that puts them into farm down range. The opponent then swaps into a Shadow Machamp, which is absolutely fine with us. We can come in with the Crobat, shield up the charge move, correctly shielding up the Stone Edge, now committing to a full air/farm down. This should just be a cross chop. Cross chop, of course, gonna be resisted damage, doesn't do much damage at all. And let's see, the opponent's gonna come back in with the Decidueye. This should just be a Spirit Shackle, which is not going to do too much damage there, and we can commit to a full air/farm down, and the opponent is going to be triple weak to the flying typing. What on earth is this team? We go straight for Air Cutter, grabbing a shield from the opponent, and we're already at back-to-back Air Cutters once again. So Air Cutter number 2 grabs the final shield, and we can fire off Air Cutter number 3 straight away into the Primeape, dealing big damage there, and the opponent is just going to concede the match. So into the next battle, we see Dodrio into Milotic. So of course, not really great for us as we are on Steel Wing. So we're going to swap into our Shadow Credilli, and the opponent choosing to stay in with the Milotic. We're going to no-shield the first move. They go straight for Surf there. Surf does some decent damage as it is neutral up against the Grass and Rock typing. We go straight for Grass Knot. The opponent does not respect the damage, maybe expecting a Rock Tomb bait, but we get the full farm down there. They then come in with a Skeledirge, and we go straight for Rock Tomb here. Rock Tomb, of course, we've seen already, doesn't quite get the KO, but because we debuff their attack, we're able to live the Incinerate damage, make it to another Rock Tomb. Shadow Credilli is an absolute menace in the Ultra League. We now come in with the Dodrio, of course. They have to go for Torch Song here. Shadow Ball is double resisted, or Disarming Voice, I guess. But either way, the opponent's now going to come in with a Swampert, and things are looking fine. We go straight for the Brave Bird here. Brave Bird is going to be no-shielded, of course. All shields are down, and now we can just commit a shield here, go for the resisted Steel Wing farm down, and we should come out close to another Brave Bird to throw into the Skeledirge coming back in, and we are just one away. So, of course, gonna shield this. The opponent fires off another Disarming Voice. We can now go straight for the Brave Bird, and Brave Bird is going to hit for huge damage. It gets the KO up against Skeledirge, and we're able to take that game. Into the next battle, we see a Sceptile in the lead, so a great lead matchup for the Dodrio. We are going to stay in this matchup here, and we are going to no-shield the first move. The opponent goes for an Aerial Ace here, there, which is interesting. Not usually the coverage move you run on a Sceptile, but either way, we go for the Air Cutter. We then swap into our Shadow Crobat, and again, we can just safely no-shield this. The opponent is going to go for another Aerial Ace there before swapping into a Skeledirge. So, of course, another matchup where having Shadow Ball would have been great for us, but either way, we go for the Air Cutter. Air Cutter, unfortunately, not doing much damage, but we do reach a second one straight away. So Air Cutter number 2 is going to get them very low. We finally get the boost, and at this point, we might shield this actually, because the air slash will register, it will get the KO. We come out with a move loaded, but for some reason we don't throw it anyway, so I don't really know what the point in that was. But either way, we can come in with the Shadow Cradilly, and this should be game over. I think just shield the first move here, as the opponent is going to go for the Ice Beam, full sending it, and we're going to go for a Rock Tomb bait. I mean, this is a fairly safe bait here, just because Rock Tomb is still going to hit fairly hard. It debuffs their attack. We then swap out there trying to catch the charge move. It doesn't work out, but the opponent also swaps out into their Sceptile. We are going to not commit to the Brave Bird. I'm not sure if we would get there in time. Instead, going for the Air Cutter. Air Cutter doesn't do much damage though, and the opponent will come out with a charge move loaded. This is going to be a super effective Ice Beam, but Cradilly just too bulky. We can now fire off the Grass Knot, and of course, from this range, Grass Knot easily takes out for Alligator, and we're able to take that game. Into next battle, we're going to see Dodrio into a Shadow Dragonite. So, of course, we are going to stay in this matchup initially. We are going to go... No, never mind. I was going to say go straight for an Air Cutter, but we do overfarm by one Steel Wing. Fire off the Air Cutter, and you can see these Dragon Breaths are absolutely shredding through us. So, we're forced to swap out there. Otherwise, they would just get a full farm down. We're going to shield the first move as they go for a Dragon Claw. And the second move should just be another Dragon Claw. So, of course, going to no-shield the second one. That does get us fairly low there, but we are going to overfarm ever so slightly. Fire off the Air Cutter. Air Cutter gets the KO there, but they come in with an Ampharos, and they get a Volt Switch farm down. We can come in with the Shadow Cradilly, and the opponent doesn't quite farm up to a Focus Bar, so we can no-shield this. The opponent goes for a Brutal Swing there, and we are able to outpace them to the next charge move, going for a Rock Tomb, debuffing their attack, and grabbing the final shield from the opponent as well. At this point, we're going to start shielding as the opponent goes for another... Wow, never mind. They go for a Trailblaze there. Either way, it doesn't matter. We can go shield that up, go for a Grass Knot, get the KO there, and they've got Greninja in the back. And we're actually going to swap. We're able to catch a charge move here as the opponent goes for the Hydro Cannon. They do actually undercharge that. Very nice play, but not quite enough there to reach another charge move as we can come out with the Grass Knot after one more Bullet Seed. Grass Knot easily takes out Greninja, and we're able to take that game. So going into next battle, we can see Dodrio into a Tentacruel. So not great for us, of course, if we are on Steel Wing, which we are. So we are going to stay in this matchup. However, we are going to no-shield the first charge move. The opponent does just go for an Acid Spray, which is fine with us. We are once again going to full send the Brave Bird here. Brave Bird is no-shielded. It does huge damage. Unfortunately, because the Steel Wings were resisted, it doesn't quite get the KO. But we swap into our Shadow Crobat, and we see an Ampharos coming in. This is, of course, not very good for us. But either way, we're going to no-shield. They go for a Brutal Swing. We will actually, it looks like we're going to reach back-to-back Poison Fangs here. So we go for the first one, grabbing a shield from the opponent, and then reaching a second Poison Fang. This, of course, going to double debuff their defense. And it grabs both shields from the opponent as well as they go for a full farm down. That's fine with us. We can come in with Cradilly, and the opponent comes in with their final Pokemon, a Cresselia. So we go straight for Rock Tomb here. Rock Tomb, of course, not going to do too much damage up against the very bulky Cresselia, but it does debuff their attack. We swap into Dodrio just to force the opponent to throw their energy. They go for a Moonblast there, which is absolutely fine. At this point, we probably don't need to shield the first move from Cresselia. Ampharos, probably the most threatening Pokemon, possibly if they are on Focus Bars, I don't really know. But either way, we go for another Rock Tomb here. Rock Tomb going to debuff their attack once again, and again we don't need to shield this up. So we're going to no-shield this. The opponent goes for a Grass Knot this time around before swapping back into the Ampharos. And we can just shield this up as the opponent goes for a Brutal Swing. Absolutely fine with us. We're just going to double shield the Ampharos as they did have a ton of energy. We can now farm up to 100 energy or very close to it. Go for the Rock Tomb here. Rock Tomb, does this get the KO? No, it actually doesn't, which gives us more farm. We come out with the Grass Knot loaded. They come back in with Cresselia. And from this range, Grass Knot takes out Cresselia. And we're able to take that game. So going into next battle, we see Dodrio into a Cobalion. So this is not too bad for us, of course. Steel Wings are resisted. However, if we're able to land a Brave Bird, once again, I think that will do huge damage. We're actually going to shield the first move. The opponent is going to go for, I think that was a Stone Edge. I'm actually not really sure there. I didn't see the animation too well. But either way, we're going for the Brave Bird. It does huge damage. Now we're just going to no-shield this. The opponent is going to go for whatever that charge move was. We can come in with the Crobat, go for the farm down anyways, and again, another Shadow Ampharos. but they are core broken by Credilli. We can go straight for Rock Tomb. Once again, Rock Tomb, a fairly safe bait up against a Feraligatr, as they're usually going to shield anything, although obviously earlier on in these battles they weren't shielding the Brave Bird from Dodrio. But either way, we're going to shield, and they are on Ice Beam. This time we're not baiting, we are full sending the Grass Knot. Grass Knot is no shielded this time around. Really good call there, expecting the opponent to no shield once again after we already baited. And now the opponent comes back in with the Ampharos. They can go for a brutal swing there. We can now permanently debuff them as this is their final Pokemon. The opponent is going to no shield, and that's fine with us. We can now swap into our Crobat, and we should just be able to go for a full air/farm down. The opponent goes for a Trailblaze, boosting up their attack, but that is double resisted up against the Crobat, so a really nice catch. And at this point, we can get the air/farm down, taking out the Ampharos, and we're able to take that game. Into the next battle, we see Dodrio into Giratina. So this is a good matchup for us, except they're on Dragon Breath, so actually, never mind, it's not that good for us at all. If they're on Shadow Claw, then this would have been fine. Of course, that is double resisted, but Dragon Breath is really chunking. The Dragon Claw, really chunking as well. We can full send the Brave Bird here, and Brave Bird does huge damage, but Giratina, incredibly bulky, able to tank that. So we're going to come in with the Crobat, going to no-shield the first move here, and then commit to a full air/farm down. So we get the farm down there. They come in with a Swampert, which is fine with us. We can fire off an Air Cutter here. Air Cutter not going to do much damage, but Air Cutter is going to grab a shield from the opponent. We then swap into our Shadow Credilli. We're going to sponge the damage here as they go for a Hydro Cannon, and they're staying in with the Swampert. These Bullet Seeds, they're not doing that much damage considering it is double super effective, but they should not be staying in this matchup for too long. Otherwise, we might even be able to go for a full farm down here. So we're going to go and fire off the Grass Knot after 3 Bullet Seeds. Perfect timing, throwing just before they reach another move, and the opponent throws instantly, which means we can shield this, go for a full Bullet Seed farm down, and the opponent is going to be double weak to Credilli as they've got a Pokemon weak to the rock typing. We can go straight for Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb does huge damage. We can go for Rock Tomb number 2, and of course, from this range, it will easily take out the Togekiss, and we're able to take that game. So going into possibly the final battle of this video, leading into Dragalge. So another neutral-ish matchup. We're just going to stay in this matchup here. And again, we're probably just going to full send the Brave Bird right off the bat. So Brave Bird, is it respected? Oh, it actually is respected this time around, but we're going to come in with our Shadow Crobat, tank the energy as they go for an Aqua Tail there. They might be on Sludge Bomb, which of course did get added to its move pool this season. We're going to shield this as the opponent goes for another Aqua Tail, I believe, and we are going to, unfortunately, have to take another Aqua Tail here. We can just barely live this, but we are very low. So we're going to go and fire off the Air Cutter. Air Cutter is going to be double shielded. We do get the boost, but it doesn't really help us there. We're then going to come in with the Dodrio, just forcing the opponent to throw their energy, but no, actually, we get the farm down. But not only that, we do bank a charge move as we go down there, or sorry, as we swap out there. We're going to go for the Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb does big damage, but unfortunately, as we've seen already, not quite enough damage to get the KO up against the Skeledirge. The opponent goes for Disarming Voice there. They will reach another charge move, but that's okay with us. The opponent is going to go for another Disarming Voice. They could have full sent a Shadow Ball there, but that allows us to go for a huge overfarm, farming up to nearly 100 energy. Rock Tomb gets the KO there, and they've got Greninja in the back, and this should be game over. Grass Knot, super effective damage from Shadow Credilli, takes out Greninja, and we're able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.